Well, for the first time in my career, I'm on the top step of the podium with a trophy. Never mind, it wasn't to be, but somebody else will be standing on the top step here this weekend because we have some brilliant racing action coming up for you in the finale. Cadwell Park in Lincolnshire. This is Thundersport Plus. Yes, hello and welcome to a bit of a soggy Cadwell Park then for the last round of 2015. 6 races coming up for you here today, 2 in each class. We've got the Thundersport 500s, the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Super Sport and Golden Era Super Bike. But let's start with the Thundersport 500s, brought to you by Nationwide Traffic Solutions Limited, shall we? This championship has been spectacular all year long. And again, we have a strong entry here. The champion is on the grid. You just saw there a moment ago. Joe Barton, number 1. The Leaning Brothers. There's Pete Bardell. He's always good value. But we have seen some amazing races this year. There's Richard Blunt, number 13 on the red bike. 82 is Lewis Osler. 32 there you can see Will Leaning. And we will look to the lights then. And away we go here at Cadwell Park. Not a brilliant start from champion Joe Barton there on the left, and Will Leaning immediately getting on terms with him. Didn't quite catch the start of Pete Bardell there as they shoot up towards turn 1. Wet tyres very much the order of the day here for the Thundersport 500s as they tip into the first turn. We're now on board with Ryan Vickers, 321 on the Satchel Racing Honda. Ryan, who's a former super teen and an ex-motocrosser who has come back into Thundersport after a few years out, and he's certainly having some fun at the moment and is already into the slipstream there of Lewis Osler as he tries to outbrake him now down into Park Corner. This is tricky, certainly in the wet. It tightens up on you and closes the door there. Lewis Osler not allowing Ryan Vickers through just at that particular moment. Number 45 there is Chris White. He's scored plenty of points so far this year. We're on board now with Joe Barton looking back, and to be honest with you, it's the only place to look from Joe Barton for the most part of 2015. He's been in supreme form and he wrapped up the championship just a couple of rounds ago, so all sorted for him. There's Richard Blunt, number 13, coming into this weekend, was 2nd overall in the championship, and that is still to be decided here today between Blunt, Ben Coyle, Pete Bardell, and Pete Bardell at the moment you can see number 92 leads from number 1 Joe Barton. An unfamiliar number that you see there at the sharp end is number 33. That's Daniel Taylor from Mexborough on the Rare Fast Racing Honda. So good effort from him, the orange bib on. There is Lewis Osler and Ryan Vickers that we see once more, number 321. He's grown a bit since he was out on that super teen a few years ago. Tiny rider he was, just pint-sized, but what a difference a couple of years makes as Chris White there tries to close up. Onto the start-finish straight we go then, and it's Pete Bardell that leads, number 92, from number 1 Joe Barton, 33 Taylor, and then the Leaning Brothers, followed by Richard Blunt, Lewis Osler, Ryan Vickers, Chris White. Further back here is Sam Smith, number 199, and we now look back to Joe Barton at the clear visor there of Will Leaning around the tricky Charlie's exit. Charlie's out there, dips away from you, and look at that, brilliant camera views here as Will Leaning pulls out of the slipstream here to try and make a move, although he's going the long way round. Is it going to work as they go into Park Corner? I think it might just work. It does. Great move there from Will Leaning. Decides to go the long way round. That's the only advantage I can ever really take from weather conditions like this, is when you get the clear visors. Daniel Taylor there, number 33, is getting lively here in the early stages. Is this a sign of things to come next year? Well, if he enters the championship full time. Nice to see he's going at it well there. Sort of interesting colour scheme on the bike. Should just point out, of course, we have another Dan Taylor in Thundersport GP. It's not the same one, just in case you're wondering. Oh, an out of seat moment there for Will Leaning, and now he's lost a bit of ground to Pete Bardell out front. Joe Barton regroups, he's in 3rd. There's Josh Leaning, number 121, and well, they'll both be a bit happier with their performances here, the Leaning Brothers. The last couple of rounds perhaps not quite gone to plan for them. This is, of course, their home round. They both hail from Scunthorpe, and we certainly like the fact that they come out with bright colour schemes. Pete Bardell shakes his head as his bike shakes its rear end coming out of barn corner, and that's not how you do it out of there. And sadly, we have lost number 56, Oscar Smith. It's so easy to do that on the exit of the hairpin there at Cadwell, even in the dry, but in these conditions, well, there you go. Now we've got a change for the lead. Will Leaning, despite having a moment earlier, has closed that gap, has gone past Pete Bardell into turn 1. There's Lewis Osler. You see his hand just on the left there of his tank, trying to get as much slipstream as possible down the start-finish straights. And now here comes Bardell, neatly, calmly. That was quite neat from him, wasn't it? When you consider some of the style we've seen from Pete Bardell this year, that was almost a bit too polite for Pete as he retakes the lead. These two are breaking away a bit now from the rest of the pack. They now come into the gooseneck and downhill into the really tight left-hander, second gear Mansfield corner. Bardell using all of the circuit there up ahead of Will Leaning. Now into the new chicane. We call it new, it's been there for some years now. Now then, the shot down into the bottom of the mountain. Not really much room here for an overtaking manoeuvre, so you've got to get it pinned over the top of the hill here. And now they're side by side, and that was beautifully done there from Will Leaning. It's not often you get moves like that done over the mountain, and that was brilliant there from Will Leaning. He really is on it here today at Cadwell Park, looking to see out the year on a high. Pete Bardell then is going to have to find another answer. This is Ryan Vickers then, who's currently up inside the top 8, up ahead of some sturdy championship rivals as well. There's Richard Blunt, who's a bit further back than he'd like. Chris White again, we just see, having a good run out there. So number 92, into the slipstream we go of Will Leaning. He'll pull out and maybe have a look up the inside into turn 1. No, he just settles there for now. Further back there, you see number 80, Owen Graves. He's having a good ride here at Cadwell as Lewis Osler now tries to find a way past up into Coppice corner. Positively cambered that first turn and uphill, so you can scrub off quite a bit of speed there if you go in a bit too hot. Back to the lead as we go. 32 is Will Leaning, 92 Pete Bardell. Joe Barton and Josh Leaning are at the moment fighting it out for third place, with Daniel Taylor with them as well as the leaders come up to some back markers. Further back, leading the seniors, as we see there, Josh Leaning up ahead of Joe Barton and then Dan Taylor. The senior cup leader at the moment is Phil Brown, factory Phil Brown, but he's at the moment outside the points and fighting along with Dave Moss and Cole Mooney for the honours there. So just look at the background to see 142 Chris Spink. Looks like he's sitting up. He might just be pulling out of the race there. I'm not sure whether he's had enough or not, but it's unusual to see Chris that far back in a race. Will Leaning it is then that has this advantage from Pete Bardell through Hall Bends. Braking hard now into the hairpin. This is where Pete Bardell had that moment. Now he's just trying to find a way or a mistake from Will. Now then, this is the third place battle. This is Joe Barton, the champion, and that going up the inside of him into the hairpin is Josh Leaning, and that was nicely done as well. So the Leaning brothers at the moment taking up both podium positions, but will be able to get himself on the top step. He's been up there before, but not for a while. This is Lewis Osler, number 82, currently leading the battle further back for 6th, 7th, 8th, etc. Now into Park Corner, squeezing through again. He likes that move, Pete Bardell. He retakes the lead, but there you see Will just getting on the power nice and early around Chris Curve. Now, as we go into the gooseneck, that's brave. Oh, I thought that Will Leaning there was going to have a move. Not quite. These guys enjoying quite a respectful dust-up at the moment. We're on the last lap then, so Will Leaning's going to have to think about where he's going to pull the pin here. Will he have a go into the bottom of the mountain, or will he wait to the hairpin? Other than that, it's very difficult to know where else he's going to be able to get past Pete Bardell here. Certainly not going to do it in the mountain. He's lost that chance. Over the top we go. Oh, and he's just lost a bit of traction there, Will Leaning. And that's not allowed him to do what he did on the previous lap. So Bardell at the moment, big advantage. Odds-on favourite to take this win. It's now down into the hairpin. I don't think Will's going to be able to do it. He's trying, but it's not going to happen. As we go into Barn Corner, It'll then just take a mistake from Pete Bardell. I'll tell you what though, Will's going to try and get into his slipstream as the checker flag goes out. Will had a look over his shoulder, there's no one else there. Checker flag out, Pete Bardell wins it just from Will Leaning. Good result that from Pete. In the background, Josh Leaning also makes the podium. Great stuff for the Leaning brothers here with friends and family watching. The champion Joe Barton finishes the year with another finish. 4th place and 13 points for him. Daniel Taylor, the rookie, 5th for him. Great result. And likewise for Ryan Vickers, number 321, who finished in 6th. There's the top 3 then. Pete Bardell, Will Leaning and Josh Leaning. In the Senior Cup, Factory Phil Brown was the winner from Dave Moss and Colin Mooney.
Pete, that was a real tough win there. Like you were battling all the way through, and it's been a tough year. I mean, you know, you're good, you're at the front, you're always at the sharp end, but crafty Spartan Barton has been hard to catch.
Yeah, they've been mega, especially yesterday. The times they were putting in the dry, I didn't think were possible. So, congratulations to Joe for winning, obviously, and Rob Morby for winning the championship. And get well soon, Rob. Yeah, just mega riding. Just couldn't keep up yesterday, and amazing, absolutely amazing.
Well, you must have some people to thank.
I'd like to thank my wife, Lou, that it wouldn't be possible without her. Dawn and Joe for coming up supporting. Nemo Moto Rider Development, thank you very much. And get well soon to Ben Coyle, because he had a nasty one yesterday. So, mend up, mate, and I'll see you next year.
So, obviously, they don't call you Factory Phil Brown for nothing, because obviously normally your leathers match your bike and you all look lovely, but you've got your scruffy leathers on today. Tell us about that.
These are from the recession back in the 80s, so it's sort of a, not so much factory, it's sort of refurb factory, just for crashing in this sort of weather.
You were born before the 80s, oh, bless you. And yeah, it was a tough race, wasn't it?
It's really tough, yeah. It's also very sketchy, some dry lines, but not many really. And if a guy pushes you offline, you're really in trouble. So awkward to stay online, and just had to sort of keep on to Colin and just take my moment when I could.
Well done on that. Who have you got to thank?
I'd like to thank the hospital, City Hospital, and the nurses. I had a heart attack at the beginning of the year, so there's only my 2nd round back, so a big thank you to those. Frankie, the bike I've ran today, I've had it for about 3 years, never had a chance to run it in a wet. My partner Helen and the team Donkey Box Racing, all the best.
We'll be back after this break with Sparklight Racing, Golden Era Super Sports and Steel Sport. Welcome back to Cadwell Park for the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Super Sport. Lining up on pole position here, a familiar face but in a new class, Chris Helliwell, number 64. He's been on a fair few bikes in his time, but Sparklight Racing opportunity here for him on the Yamaha. Can he get himself on that podium? If we look further back and see Nick Wainwright there, number 68, and then Joel Williams, who was a race winner of course last time out when we were at Donington Park. Further back, there's number 18, slightly different colour scheme for Carl Foster, who was crowned champion yesterday. He only needed a couple of points, so many congratulations to Carl Foster, who is the Thundersport GB Sparklight Racing Golden Era Super Sport champion. And I can tell you that in the background there, you see number 142 just going across your picture there. Chris Spink has wrapped up the Golden Era Steel Sport Championship as well, so many congratulations to him. Jack Haverkamp not here this weekend. Nevertheless, Chris Spink had a handy lead in the championship anyway, so Jack would have had a bit of a mountain to climb, but Chris has got it wrapped up, so championship sorted. Good for both of them. And now just down to the racing, and there's a few handy riders out there. There is Phil Cox, number 56. Sam Cox's dad, actually, the rider that races in the 450 Aprilia Championship. And Chris Helliwell has already got to the front. There's Carl Foster, the champion, number 18. Another rider that hails from Scunthorpe. He and his brother Mark both raced all season long, although he biffed himself up a bit with the bike last time out. Helliwell it is that leads from Nick Wainwright and Joel Williams. There is Mark Foster, 36. Number 5 just going through is Carl Smalley. Nice to have Carl Smalley with us. Again, he was at Cadwell earlier in the season as well. Last year's Thundersport 500 champion. We'd certainly like to see a bit more of Carl out in this championship next year, because I think he'd be able to contend, much like the guys out front of this. The 3 front runners at the moment all got a bit of experience and all pretty handy. Joel Williams here, number 33, as I said, won at Donington Park last time out, and he has got quite a bit of 250 GP experience, 125s as well. He really blitzed the field last time out. At the front though, it's Chris Helliwell and Nick Wainwright that are tussling for the lead. There goes Mark Foster and Carl Smalley. Then Carl Foster up ahead of James Want, number 79. That's Mike Horbury, number 9. He goes through ahead of, that looked like Carl Vickers, one of our Royal Navy riders. Brad Davey, number 14, an ex-Street Fighter winner. And braking underneath Chris Helliwell, there goes Nick Wainwright. We're on board here with Chris Helliwell, Sparklight Racing Yamaha 600. These are these cameras that he's got on his glasses effectively whilst he's riding inside his visor, so you've got a proper bird's eye view here of what Cadwell looks like with Chris Helliwell down through the gooseneck as he tries to chase down Nick Wainwright. Chris Helliwell, of course, a race winner in Formula 600. He's been in Superstock 600, he's been in Golden Era Superbike as well. It's always difficult to try and get some sponsorship and some money together to get him racing. He's got the talent, there's no doubt about that. But this might just suit him perfectly, this class. There's Joel Williams then, just in 3rd place. They're all chasing down number 68, Nick Wainwright from Beverley on the Paints Fiction Racing Yamaha. Here he is. Left, right, left through Hall Bends and then braking downhill into the hairpin. In these conditions, as you saw from before the break in the 500s, really, really slippery. There is Carl Foster then, the champion, up ahead of number 79, James Want from Leeds on the A1 Press Racing Yamaha. Carl Smalley is out there on the Bruce Cousin Motors Yamaha. All of these personal sponsors for these teams. 33, Joe Williams is from Manchester on the Haulage Services Yamaha. And there is Mark Foster. And now James Want once more. So Foster's got the championship wrapped up, and I'm pretty sure he'll be happy about that, given what's going on circuit at the moment. These guys are in a class of their own. They're breaking away from the rest of the pack. Chris Helliwell at the moment not being shaken off by the race leader. Joel Williams just struggling to stick with them. There's Mike Horbury, number 9. He's been on the podium a fair few times last year in Golden Era Superbike, in fact, on a Suzuki. Now then, we exit Mansfield Corner. The top 3 at the moment still close enough. Joel Williams just about hanging on to them there. Certainly seems to be the part of the circuit where he benefits. There's almost a move from Mike Horbury on James Want, and Carl Foster is getting held up a bit here as well as they go into the new chicane. James Want there as well. So those guys are all battling for 4th place. Here are your race leaders then. Nick Wainwright, Chris Helliwell. Chris from Rotherham always brings a fair few people along to race with him. His brother Liam's raced a fair bit as well. Carl Foster, James Want and Mike Horbury there. Mike Horbury almost losing the front end, taking a bit too much curve. Now there's Neil Harvey, number 1. Neil Harvey at the moment is actually leading the steel frame competition. And there's Chris Spink, number 142, the champion of that class. Neil Harvey said to me earlier on in the season that when the weather gets a bit tough, he gets going. He seems to find it not quite as tough in the wet as it has been at times in the dry for him. He came over as the Derby Phoenix steel frame champion last year, hence the number 1. Now on board with Chris Helliwell then. Nicknamed Skid Marks, you can see that there just on the screen as he gets into the slipstream. This is nice. He's now going to go up into the lead, into Park Corner. Good stuff then from Chris Helliwell, and he takes the lead up ahead of Nick Wainwright. Uses all of the exit there, but manages to regroup through Chris Curve, now into the really ridiculously fast gooseneck here at Cadwell. They're coming up on some traffic, look. Just see the red lights on the back there. They are encouraged to use them riders in these conditions. Number 31, Stephen Chadwick, that is, who's just been lapped by race leader Chris Helliwell, and both he and Nick Wainwright have pulled away now from Joel Williams. Oh, dearie me. Now that was Chris Helliwell trying to go past Phil Cox, perhaps a little audaciously looking to go around the outside of him into the new chicane. Doesn't work out. Not Phil's fault. He rejoins out front. He's not really, has he gained a position? He has, so he's let him through, and just to make sure he won't get penalised now for that. So nice one there from Chris Helliwell, using all of his knowledge. It would have been ever so easy just to carry on there out front, take the checkered flag, and then find when you get into Parc Ferme that you've got a penalty of some sort. So Helliwell's going to have to do all the work all over again. You can just see a bit of a dry line appearing now here at Cadwell Park as we go past the start-finish straight now. The last lap flag is out, so Chris Helliwell has it all to do on this final lap. So far, the fastest lap of the race are in the 140s. Helliwell is going to need something special here on the Sparklight Racing Yamaha. Around Charlie's in, and now Charlie's out. So far, that looks good. He's pulled in a couple of tenths, and look at the speed he's got around here. Just up ahead of him, Nick Wainwright, a bit wide onto the back straight. So this is the opportunity now then for Chris Helliwell. He's really in the slipstream, and will he have another go into Park Corner? He will. Brilliant stuff then from Chris Helliwell. He moves out front. This could be some lap here from Chris Helliwell. He looked like he was a good 5 or 6 tenths behind when they started that lap, and he really does mean business here. The TV cameras are rolling, and he's looking to see out the 2015 season with a win. There are a few rumours spreading that he might not be racing next year, and that this might be it. So what a swan song it would be, although I've heard many a rider say that to us before at the end of the season. So Helliwell here looking brilliant. Nick Wainwright doesn't have an answer, I don't think, in the closing stages. Through the mountain we go, over the top, and now it would just take a mistake from Helliwell to prevent him from winning this race. Through Hall Bends we go. Tiptoey stuff for Helliwell. Braking nice and neatly. Yeah, I think he's got that one in the bag. This is James Watt. He leads the battle for 4th. Up ahead there of Carl Smalley and Mike Horbury. So Mark and Carl Foster have fallen back a bit. But the checkered flag is out. That is a brilliant win. Chris Helliwell takes it, and a 1:39 on the last lap as well. That's a good, solid win for Helliwell, ahead of Nick Wainwright, Joel Williams. James Want finishes in 4th ahead of Carl Smalley. Mike Horbury takes 6th place overall. On the podium there then, Chris Helliwell, Nick Wainwright and Joel Williams. That's Sean Colton here as Supersport. And in the steel frame, Neil Harvey the winner from Phil Page and Chris Pink.
Well, Chris, I can't tell you how pleased I am to see you up here and win that race. And I know there's a lot of things you want to say here, so I'll probably shut up. But well done. What have you got to say about that, man?
I'm speechless. It's turned up this weekend. Thanks Sparklight Racing for the bike this weekend. It's pretty stock. It's nothing special, as we know. But yeah, we just rid it, enjoyed it. I wanted to enjoy the last moment, you know what I mean? If it is, it is. It's what it is. I've got no more money. We need sponsors. But yeah, just toddled away on that race. I passed him, but I skipped the chicane, and we're both probably both sides of bike markers. So I thought the sporting thing were to let him pass. Didn't want to get it took off me by default. Go win it properly. Managed to do it at last lap. I think I got fastest lap, but tyre was shot. Never had so many slides, but it's fun, but it's crazy. I just want to say a massive thank you to my friends, my family, Uncle Mark who's helped me through the years. Dave Ogden has also helped me. All my sponsors, Rainfield Arms, I could go through them all, Wilson Windows, Barry Coker. I've also had Express Coatings at times, Excite Technologies. I've done this for my dad this weekend. I wanted one final hoorah, and I wanted to do it with you, and I can't believe I've won, you know what I mean? It's bad enough getting 2 podiums and a lap record yesterday. I was mesmerised by that. I just winning that was... I'm lost, honest to God. I want to say thank you to everybody. Sorry if I forgot anybody, but you're all appreciated. You've made everything come true for me and my dad.
Neil Harvey, another fantastic win. I'm convinced it's the plaster on the nose.
Must be that, mustn't it? You had one yesterday as well. Makes you look really handsome like myself. I'd just like to thank my mechanic Steve again. We had the right tyre choice, wet front, dry rear. Chris has probably just announced his retirement from racing. Well, this is going to be my last full weekend, full season's racing, should I say. I might do an odd one next year. So while I'm on this podium, I'd really like to thank the Simkiss crew for their hospitality and friendship over the years I've raced with them. And also like special thanks to Linda and Andrea for feeding us over the weekends. Like I say, I'll need to get these in because this could be my last time up here. And my wife and daughter, of course, who put up with my racing, as I've said loads of times before. And just what a fantastic club this is. I've never raced with Thundersport before, and it's just a fantastic club to race with.
It certainly is. Thanks, Neil. We'll be back after the break with Golden Era Superbikes and Street Fighter Extreme. Welcome back to Thundersport Plus, the Golden Era Superbikes, brought to you by Sparklight Racing on the grid. Number 18 on pole position here, that's brave. Slick front tyre for John Dieterman, who was crowned champion yesterday. He's endured quite a battle with Richard Blunt this year, but Richard Blunt not out there. I can't 100% confirm why that is, but Blunty will finish second in the championship overall. It's been a brilliant year. We just saw Andrew Windsor there. He's having an Indian summer, to say the least, when it comes to this championship. There's number 106 though. Look out for him. You saw him earlier in the Thundersport 500s. That's Joe Barton. Bad start there for John Dieterman, being swallowed up a bit as Ryan Strafford going through as well. 57. Joe Barton, 106. He's out there on an AW Motorsport Suzuki. Not seen him out on this before. Be interesting to see how he fares. There he is in second place, thinking about a move on fellow Suzuki rider up ahead, Andrew Windsor. There goes through the orange, white and black bike of number 48, Richie Harrison as well. So keep an eye out. Ryan Strafford, as I mentioned, number 57, last year's Street Fighter champion, just going through there in fourth place on that white Honda SP2. And a bit further back there on that Ducati number 86. John Gibson, that didn't sound very good. And it's not. A rider has gone down into Mansfield. He doesn't look too good at the moment. And there's another rider who's gone straight up for a bit of grass trekking in the background. Now, red flags are out. Now, I do hope that everyone's all right. That's a big crash there down in Mansfield. A few people looking rather injured. It's good news for the rider that had completely got lost over at the top of the hill, though. So here we go. Restart here at Cadwell Park. Gap on second, as we mentioned before. And another poor start from John Dieterman, even worse this time. And Ryan Strafford has to use pit exit to save himself from running into the back of John Dieterman there. So the Yamaha rider really struggling to get off the line, the champion for 2015. And there's was that Richie Harrison, I think it was, that just went off really late as well. Not sure, I'll have a look in a moment. Andrew Windsor it is that leads from number 34. That's Adrian Teasdale. What a rocket ship start that was from Adrian. Number 36 there is Dale Taylor with the orange bib on. That's not because he just wants to look bright. That is to denote that he is a rookie for this season. Number 20 and number 4. Andy Chalice, number 20. Number 4 is Ian Pattinson on the Weardale Racing Kawasaki. Andy Chalice was on an Aprilia at the start of the year and has now changed to that Suzuki, you can see. So, now then, this is interesting. John Dieterman had a really poor start. He's fallen far back. This is Andrew Windsor then. He has the lead, number 30, from Adrian Teasdale and Ryan Strafford, number 57. Then it's Chalice. Then, sorry, no, it's Pattinson, then Chalice. This is number 86, John Gibson, on the 2GC Racing Ducati. And so John Dieterman is just a bit further back, and you can see him now, just going into Barn Corner. He's got a lot of work to do there. He's in around about 8th or 9th place. There goes number 4, Pattinson, ahead of Chalice. Then we've got in there as well 51 Lee Hutchinson as well on the Aprilia, the SRT South Cave Limited machine. So John Dieterman you'd expect to filter his way through the pack here, but to win the race, that's a bit of a tall order from this particular. I'm not sure I'm entirely convinced by this colour scheme here from Adrian Teasdale, number 34. Certainly bright, easy to spot, top marks for that. But the vanglass.co.uk Suzuki, looks, I don't know, a little bit too much polka dot for me. Out front, it is Andrew Windsor, number 30, on the AW Motorsport Suzuki. Here he is, the grey and red, or silver and red, whatever it takes your fancy. He has a look over his shoulder and sees Ryan Strafford in second place. There's Adrian Teasdale now. Did he just miss a gear or something? Lost a bit of ground there, and it's allowed Ian Pattinson just to close up a little into the chicane. You can see John Dieterman is right on the tail of that group now, but Windsor here will take some beating. The number 30 rider from Chichester up ahead of number 57 Ryan Strafford from Murfield on that SP2. He's spent a good, blimey, number 182 here. That's Andrew Barling, and that's nasty, and that just shows you what happens when you get on the grass when it's wet here through Hall Bends. It's not the grippiest part of the circuit, I'm afraid, and hopefully he'll be up and okay. Well, going across the start-finish straight then, the two leaders, they're not going to be caught here. It's all down to what John Dieterman can do. There he is, number 18, 5th in this particular pack. There is number 4, just going through on 34, not quite. John Dieterman now starting to make some ground up. 3rd is definitely on the cards here for the champion, but he's not going to catch Andrew Windsor and Ryan Strafford out front. There is number 4 again then, Ian Pattinson, on that Weardale Racing Kawasaki. There's Chalice, just number 20 there with the yellow and red leathers on that white bike. Thought about a move into the gooseneck there, but it was a bit tight and close, trying to find a way past number 34, Adrian Teasdale from Carlisle. There is Dieterman then, number 18 from Preston on the Baxi Yamaha. What a brilliant season he has had. Some fantastic tussles with Richard Blunt. It's a shame in many ways that we couldn't see the proper ding-dong that we wanted in the final round. There's been toing and froing that championship all year long. Sadly, Richard Blunt not out there here this weekend. Dieterman, to be honest, after what happened to Blunt in the final race at Donington Park last time out, it looked like he'd got it done. And look at him now, he's piling his way through this group as we go through Hall Bends. He goes underneath Chalice, and now he's going to try and find a way past Adrian Teasdale. You've got to be a bit careful though on the brakes, nice and soft. Look at all the leaves and the damp surface down to the hairpin there, really tricky stuff. Now then, out front, Andrew Windsor is lapping in the 142s. He's still a good 2-3 tenths quicker than Ryan Strafford per lap, but this is definitely an improvement for Strafford compared to what we've seen in recent weeks. John Dieterman is now in 5th place, so, or he's 4th, sorry, 4th place, so he's catching here, number 4, Ian Patterson. So this is now the battle for 3rd place, and then there's quite a bit of air between 3rd and 2nd, so 3rd's just about the best that the champion can manage here in race 1 after that poor start. And look at that, nice and easy does it up the inside. The gap was there, although he's just run wide on the exit, and that allows Ian Pattinson back through again. So Pattinson takes 3rd place, back off John Dieterman. You can see the clear visors there in these conditions, struggling to keep the front end. Just don't forget here that John Dieterman is on a slick front, and that looks like either a slick rear or an intermediate rear, and the bike ahead of him is on wet, so there's a bit of a mixture in choice. Now I just wonder whether that might have contributed towards the poor start for John Dieterman, because it has struggled to get traction with slicks off a wet surface down on the start-finish line. There is a dry line. He did this earlier on in the year at Cadwell Park. As we see the last lap flag out, it's going to be between Windsor and Strafford, and probably Windsor in truth. But Dieterman earlier on in the year here at Cadwell Park hatched a master plan to start a race on slicks and came through from pretty much the back of the field to win the race. And it looks like he's doing something similar here, although he's not going to win this one. Andrew Windsor then. What a brilliant end to the year it's been for Andrew. He was fighting with Ryan Strafford for 3rd overall in the championship. This will just about cement it for him. Ryan Strafford will be pleased to be back on the podium though. There is Andy Chalice again, number 20. And he's managed to make up another place as well. He's gone past Ian Pattinson. So number 20, Andy Chalice from Peterborough on the CT Racing Suzuki. Looks like getting one of his best results of the season, but there's no catching this man out front. Andrew Windsor, a regular podium finisher, certainly towards the latter stages of this season. He looks over his shoulder just to make sure that he's got enough of a gap to potentially cruise round this final part. A bit of showboating over the top of the mountain there. Nice relaxed riding style. He's come on leaps and bounds the second half of this season, Andrew Windsor, and he thoroughly deserves this victory. He looks like he's got a set of drives on there as well though. Here's John Dieterman then, he's up into 3rd. He's broken away from Andy Chalice, but he's not going to catch anyone else now, not with that checker flag. Mind you, Andy Chalice looking pretty strong here in the closing stages. Checker flag goes out, great win. Andy Windsor takes the victory. Ryan Strafford is back on the podium. He takes 2nd place overall, and the champion John Dieterman is in 3rd ahead of Andy Chalice. One of the best results of the season for him. Ian Pattinson finishes in 5th, and 6th place for Lee Hutchinson. There's Andy Windsor then, top step race winner.
Well, Andrew, I've heard of some last lap Larrys, but you certainly know how to leave till the end of the season to come on strong, don't you?
Mate, I was going to, I thought I'd play it safe, stick in behind John, go and get him 2nd, wrap up the rest of the championship for my 3rd, and then John goes out, probably wrong tyre choice, and I thought, hello, and I'm away on my own there. So I saw Ryan, I kept looking behind, saw Ryan there, but just kept my eyes on the prize and just kept brought it home.
Well, it's tricky conditions. I mean, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea, so you did well to just do that. Who do you want to thank?
Kingman Services and JE Tyres, as always. They do all my tyres for me. Without them, I couldn't do it. My mechanic's slick. all my mates and all my family are here today to see me as well for the last one, so it's been brilliant. Good way to
Excellent. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
We're halfway through the show. Join us again after the break for race 2 in the Nationwide Traffic Solutions Thundersport 500s. It's the Nationwide Traffic Solutions Thundersport 500s and the seniors now. The last race for these guys of the 2015 season. Joe Barton lines up with the number 1 on. Will it be the same for him all next year? Will he be in this class? Well, who knows? For now, we'll just look at this race as if it's his last. There's Will Leaning, of course, finished in 2nd in race 1. Can he better that? He'll have to beat this man, Pete Bardell, Rusty Bardell as he's known, because of his awful colour scheme on that bike. There you can see his rusty old tank there. Josh Leaning, number 121, was on the podium in race 1 also. He'll be looking to repeat that feat. The lights go out here at Cadwell Park. Really good start there from everyone on the front row, although Joe Barton, didn't get away quite as well as everyone else. As you can see, we had another sprinkling of rain here at lunchtime, so we are full wets again here, despite the fact the circuit was drying a little while ago. And look at this, the Leaning brothers fighting it out for the lead into Park Corner. Will from Josh. Will is number 32, Josh number 121. Easy to spot, bright blue bikes, yellow wheels. All of these bikes absolutely identical, and so it's all about the rider. And this year we have seen some thrilling encounters between probably 10-15 riders that could have ultimately all finished in the top 5. There goes John O'Toole, number 27. He's been on the podium a few times this year. Cole Mooney now going into the bottom of the picture there with a white helmet on, number 101, with our Senior Cup riders. Rob Morby not out, of course the champion of the Senior Cup for this year, so it just gives an opportunity for Phil Brown to get himself up there again. Keep an eye out for Phil Brown, he's number 98, as we just see there, number 43, that's Alex Platt, just going through into the bottom of the mountain. But all year long we've had pretty much over 50 people, and that's probably actually an understatement. 50 riders going into qualifying, trying to get themselves on this grid. It's just incredible, really. Budget racing at its finest, but it's taken very seriously, as you can see at the front here, as they all get themselves into the slipstream. Joe Barton there, the champion in 4th, ahead of Richard Blunt, number 13. 33 is Daniel Taylor, the rookie that got a really good result earlier on. There goes O'Toole. Number 9 there, the orange bike with Dean Armstrong. There's Platt again, up ahead of Matt Snow. Number 70, Matt from Brigg on the Rat Out Racing Honda. There's also, as you can probably tell, some rather unique names for teams and riders out here, as Pete Bardell goes underneath, Leaning to take the lead of the race once more, looking for the double victory here. Of course, Pete Bardell looking to end the season with 2nd place overall. We should just spare a thought at this moment in time for Ben Coyle. Ben Coyle, who on a lot of occasions, and specifically at Donington last time out, was absolutely phenomenal. Was fighting for 2nd in this championship on a couple of occasions this year. Massive crash here at Cadwell Park earlier on this weekend, and is out injured, so we send you all the best, Ben. We hope to see you fighting fit again next season. This is the fight for the lead though. Pete Bardell at the moment in a Leaning sandwich. We mentioned that last time out at Donington. You don't want to be in one of those. Pete Bardell is trying to close in. Josh Leaning at the moment not quite able just to match the pace of his brother and Pete out ahead, but I'm sure he'll take another podium. There's Dean Armstrong just going through once more. Number 62 then is Daniel Otter. There's Joe Miller, number 94, one of the rookies for this year from Hull on the M-Tech Racing Honda. A lot of improvements all the way through the field, so even if Joe Barton does line up to defend his crown next year, it's not a foregone conclusion that you'll see the same 3 or 4 riders out at the front, although they probably will be, but I would imagine they'll be joined by 1 or 2 others. There's Lewis Osler, really getting his elbows out, but just losing a place to Chris White into Coppice Corner, but it's Will Leaning that has the lead. The Scunthorpe brothers got plenty of friends and family that travel around the UK to watch all their racing, but more so here at Cadwell, of course. Scunthorpe not too far away. There's John O'Toole, number 27 from Derby on the Campbell's Racing Honda. John's had a really good full season here in the Thundersport 500 Championship, and a couple of podiums to his name as well, so many signs of progress for him. And be looking forward to seeing what he gets up to next year. He certainly seems to enjoy his racing, as do this entire field. At the moment, by the way, further back in the seniors, it's still Colin Mooney and Phil Brown that are fighting it out for the Senior Cup. The battle for third, funnily enough, is between Dave Moss and Mark Leaning. Yes, it is another Leaning. That's Will and Josh's dad that's out there as well. There's number 321, Ryan Vickers. We now go through the bottom of the mountain. He's just up behind Lewis Bramwell, number 12, who's found himself in the top 5 a few times this year. Ryan Vickers, a newcomer to this championship, expecting him to be full entry for next season, fighting with the likes of Joe Barton. But you've got to love that, haven't you, when you get the hand signals on pit wall to tell them how big the gap is. I mean, how much is a pit board, really? Come on, guys. That's brilliant. Oh, well, we did say budget racing, didn't we? There's Joe Barton, then the champion in 4th. This is Dan Taylor, the rookie with the orange vest on, now being challenged by number 12, Lewis Bramwell. Nice move there. His teammate Sam Smith, a few places further behind. This is the battle for the lead, though. That gap's come down a bit now. I have to say that Pete Bardell, I mean, he's been in brilliant form all year. He's won a few races, but this is the smoothest we've seen him for a while. Further back, that's Ryan Vickers. He's just up behind there, Lewis Bramwell, but he runs wide into Park Corner, and yeah, that was only going one way, either the tyre wall or down, and I strongly suspect he's probably parked that down himself, because the tyre wall is not something you want to hit. So Ryan Vickers, having outbraked someone down the back straight, sadly out of the race. Now then, it's just saying about Pete Bardell, I think this is just about the smoothest that we've seen Pete so far this year. You have to be really in these conditions. Ragged riders in the wet don't normally work. Here comes Sam Smith. He's been down on the deck a few times this year himself, and with moves like that, it's hardly surprising as he moves up ahead of Chris White and just manages to save himself from going onto the grass. He normally finds himself fighting with this man here, number 92, who he lives on the same street as. Good friends off circuit. Here's Joe Barton. This is the good thing about Joe, is that he's so consistent, but he doesn't push the boat out too far. If he's not capable of winning a race, he's happy just to take as many points as possible. He won't push it to the ragged edge, and that's why he's champion. If you look at the points tables on the Thundersport website, you'll see that Joe has finished more races than any other rider in this championship, certainly in the top 10. There's Chris White again then, with Sam Smith trying to get every inch of what's going on there. There's Richard Blunt having a good old look at his pit board or something else, just up ahead of Lewis Osler. This is Joe Barton then. Lewis Bramwell really is on the move here, number 12. Good run out for the Sheffield rider on the Bramwell relocation Honda. And a slightly different design on the rear exhaust I see there. Looks like something coming out of the rear seat unit there of that 500 of Lewis Bramwell's. They are all definitely out there on Hondas. There's a few modifications that goes on as Will Leaning shuts the door and the nose off there of Pete Bardell. This is definitely going to go down to the final lap. These two have completely broken away from Josh Leaning, who's still in third, and has at the moment got a good comfortable gap on Joe Barton and Lewis Bramwell. There's number 56 just going through, Oscar Smith. He's in the points, having a good run out this year. As I said before, a lot of the rookies that started this year out towards the tail end of the pack are really starting to make progress there. What happened there? Massive crash for Joe Miller, number 94. That seemed to just go on forever. A high side, that could have been really nasty there. Joe Miller out of the race from a points position. I hope he's up and okay. Luckily, didn't look like he took a bang to the head or anything. Now then, these guys coming up on some traffic up ahead. That is Elliot Humphrey, number 2, and just up ahead of him, Lee Sylvan, and Pete Bardell seen the last lap flag, and into turn 1, you see Pete Bardell takes the lead, and this is the battle further back for 4th place. Josh Leaning is in a lonely 3rd at the moment. He looks odds on to take that. Who will be the race winner, though? Will Leaning was leading a little while ago. He thought about a move up in the inside into Park Corner there. There wasn't enough room for him. And so, well, this is almost a carbon copy of what we saw in race 1. Will Leaning has got another crack at it, though, and he's going to have to try and find a way past. Further back here, 45, Chris White and Dan Taylor. These guys are in 6th and 7th place. And Pete Bardell still leads. Will Leaning's running out of time here if he wants to win this race. And Pete Bardell there, really hot down into Mansfield. And that might just give Will a little chance. Not into the chicane though. So there's a couple more opportunities here. One is down into the bottom of the mountain. Yep, he's still there, mate. He is still there. It's not going to be here though. He'll try and maybe get the drive over the mountain now. He did it a couple of times in race 1. It's not bad, but it's not going to be close enough. This is Josh leading. He's looking good for 3rd. There's a good battle going on behind though for 4th between Bramwell and Barton. Wheeling, look at that stand-up wheelie. Lovely stuff there from Josh. Here we go then, out of the hairpin, and Will leaning. Unless he can drag him to the line, he's going to have to set off a second again. The final Thundersport 500 race of 2015 goes to Pete Bardell. He's done the double here, and he's over the moon with that one. Will leaning there. A round of applause as well. That's always great to see. Fantastic sportsmanship as ever in the Thundersport 500 class. Josh Leaning takes 3rd, so exact same podium as what we saw earlier on. Lewis Bramwell did take 4th in the end ahead of Joe Barton, with Chris White finishing in 6th. So top 3 as per usual on, well, certainly what we saw earlier on. Bardell winning from the Leaning brothers, and in the Senior Cup, it's Phil Brown, Cole Mooney and Dave Moss. That's it for the 500s then for the 2015 season. Barton the champion, Pete Bardell with that victory. Look at that. Takes 2nd place away from Richard Blunt. Ben Coyle finishes in 4th. Will Leaning and Josh Leaning 5th and 6th respectively, and in the Senior Cup, Rob Morby the champion ahead of Dave Moss, Cole Mooney, Stephen Hall, Clive Mindham and Nick Turner. That's it then for the 500s. We've still got a bit of racing left for you though. Join us again after the break for the Sparklight Racing, Golden Era Super Sport and Steel Sport. Welcome back to Cadwell Park, Golden Era Super Sport time now. There is number 68, Nick Wainwright, finished 2nd earlier on, but lining up on pole position with that wet front, Sparklight Racing's Chris Helliwell. Chris, who will be dedicating his victories, of course, to his late father, and I'm sure that he'll be watching down and be very impressed with Chris so far here this weekend. There's Mike Horbury, number 9, the champion in Golden Era Super Sport, number 18, Carl Foster. Just on the left of your picture here is Mark Foster, number 36. So we look to the lights. Away we go here at Cadwell Park. A really good start there for Chris Helliwell, front pole position, and he'll surely get the whole shot into turn 1. Joel Williams also a good start for him, number 33, up into 2nd place ahead of Wainwright. And they'll go into Charlie's and down the back straight. We're on board here with Helliwell. There's a bit of clear air for him here as he heads onto the back straight. The rider from Rotherham who won race 1. It certainly wasn't easy. He was kept honest throughout by Nick Wainwright. And what will happen here as he's just been overtaken by Joel Williams down into Park Corner. In 4th place there is Carl Smalley, up ahead of number 9 Mike Horbury. Further back there's Phil Page. Saw him on the podium earlier on. Phil on the Reg Prentice Racing Honda CVR 600, just in case you're wondering why he's called that. Just take a look at him when he's on the podium, bless him. Phil helps out a lot behind the scenes with Thundersport GP, so everybody thankful to have Phil in the paddock year on, year out. In fact, the whole family helping out with just about everything behind the scenes at Thundersport GP. On board with Chris Helliwell then through the new chicane, trying to chase down 33 Joel Williams, ex-125 GP and 250 GP rider. Then it's Wainwright, bit of a gap back then to Carl Smalley, former Thundersport 500 champion himself. Number 24 is Jamie Pearson from Derby on the 2-wheel performance Yamaha. Now that name may be a decent memory for you. He was last year's Golden Era Supersport champion, Jamie Pearson. And of course brother of Shane Pearson, who went on to win the Golden Era Superbike Championship. Jamie, actually, last time I saw Jamie, he had both of his arms in casts after a crash. But there he is, number 24. Nice bright bike there for us to spot. Decent rider, Jamie Pearson. Not had as much track time as I suspect he would have liked this year, because otherwise we'd be seeing him dicing at the sharp end for sure, but at the moment he's fighting it out with this year's Golden Era Super Sport champion. So 2 champions there going at each other's throats. There's James Want just tipping into Coppice as well, number 79, but out front it is still Joel Williams, Chris Helliwell, and then this man here, number 68, Nick Wainwright from Beverley on the Paints Fiction Racing Yamaha. So far so good. The 3 Yamahas out front, not split by an awful lot. good riding style from Joel Williams. He was superb at Donington Park in the dry. Nobody could get anywhere near him. That said, these two guys weren't in that race. We didn't have Chris Helliwell or Nick Wainwright last time out. Mark Foster further back is at the moment going a bit better than his brother Carl. Nice to see a few faces in the grandstand there, despite the weather conditions here at Cadwell Park. So Joel Williams it is that has this advantage. Through Hall Bends we go then. Try and avoid those white lines and the curves. In these conditions they will be treacherous. They're braking off camber. You can see it's off camber there. That's why you see so many crashes. Low sides, high sides, and then again off camber down into Barn Corner. A few people looking over their shoulder. Number 81 is Carl Vickers from Dunfermline, one of our Royal Marine riders. It's a fair old trek that is from Dunfermline to any circuit in the UK. Of course, not a million miles away from Knockhill Circuit. There is Carl Foster and Jamie Pearson continuing to fight it out for what is at the moment 7th place, I believe. Mike Horbury's just up ahead of those guys. So Williams leads from Helliwell and Wainwright. Further back, this is Carl Foster, number 18, with Jamie Pearson hassling him just up behind. We've got another rider in there for company now as well. Martin Bloomfield's out there. Brad Davey leads the steel frames, by the way, number 14. And Brad Davey, believe it or not, could, because Jack Haverkamp's not here, sneak into second place overall in the championship with a decent result here in this second race. We're now on board with Chris Helliwell then, over the top of the mountain. Just see the front end going loose, now into Hall Bends. Now watch this, right, left, right again, then sit the bike up straight, cut that corner off, hard on the brakes, tip it right. Very technical, that part of the circuit, easy to go wrong. There's Mark Foster and Mike Horbury. Those guys are in 4th and 5th place. They're about 10, 11 seconds behind 3rd place rider Nick Wainwright, who's just lost touch now with these two out front. So it's going to be between Williams and Helliwell. Dry line appearing once more here at Cadwell Park as we join Chris Helliwell at Charlie's out. Uphill, then downhill again. Look how many off-camber corners there are here at Cadwell Park. Brilliant round here. Chris Helliwell really has got Charlie's out nailed, hasn't he? He was brilliant in race 1 there, and he's done it again here. Pulls out of the slipstream and makes the move down into Park Corner. Can he get it stopped? Oh, the bike's shaking its head a bit. He lets off the brakes, and that is done really well there by Chris Helliwell. Really pushing the nose of his Yamaha R6. Both riders out front, it looks like, have got the wet weather option tyres on, and it's just not warm enough to be able to put anything else on. You've got to try and generate heat in those tyres in these cool conditions, and when it's damp as well, you need those blocks on the wets to try and generate the heat. And at the moment, Chris Helliwell has got this thing just about on rails. Joel Williams, having been overtaken, certainly in this last couple of corners, doesn't look like he's got much of an answer for Helliwell. Again, we fall back now to the battle for 4th. Mark Foster and Mike Horbury. Further back, Carl Foster, Mark's brother's, trying to fend off Jamie Pearson and Carl Smalley for 6th place. So there are the leaders. This is 3rd place man, Nick Wainwright. Really getting the hammer down there on the throttle on the exit of the hairpin. Here is Mike Horbury trying to chase down Mark Foster. Mark Foster looks like he's going to finish the championship inside the top 5. Horbury probably just going to try and sneak into the top 10 overall with a decent result here. Both riders been in the championship for most of the year, although the Foster brothers did miss 1 round. I'm trying to think what round, I think it was Anglesey they missed because of the Manx GP. Helliwell it is then that has this advantage. He got out front ahead of Joel Williams at Park Corner on that last lap and has managed to build up a lead there of a good 8 or 9 tenths, and he might just check out now. I'm not sure if Joel Williams will wave the white flag or not. His fight continues though for 4th place. Are they going to catch Nick Wainwright? No. They're still about a second a lap slower than Nick Wainwright in 3rd place. So, now there's a rider wandering off, and that is number 81, Carl Vickers. And that's the end of his race. He's obviously gone down somewhere. At least he's up and he's walking away. On board again here with Chris Helliwell, braking hard now into the mountain. This is a positively cambered chicane, but it can go horrifically wrong, as we've seen so many times over the last few years. Now he's coming up on some traffic, so he's going to have to be a bit careful here, Chris Helliwell. He's got a nice lead. That is Phil Page. In fact, look at that. He's coming up to lap the guys that were first and second in the steel frame race in race 1 earlier on. They come up onto the start-finish straight then, and the last lap flag is out. There's Joel Williams in second. In the background there is Phil Cox. He's just been lapped by Joel. Now on board with Chris Helliwell then. So we go around Charlie's. Look at the speed he carries around here as he disarms Phil Page. And now, or was that Neil Harvey, or is it Neil Harvey he's now coming up on? We'll soon find out as we make our way into Park Corner. Careful, careful. It was Neil Harvey that he'd managed to just get past there. It's another rider he's going past now. Into Chris Curve, into the gooseneck. And we reach the halfway point of this final lap. Looking like being a double win here for Chris Helliwell. We saw double wins in Thundersport 500. Looks like double wins here in the Golden Era Supersport as well. He's still pushing it on this final lap, Chris Helliwell. 1:41 his best lap so far. It's on lap 6. But he has a big look over his shoulder. He's got this one in the bag. Look, and there you see, he knows he hasn't got to push it now. Just neat lead on into the chicane. You have to keep your concentration levels up, and just as I say that, Chris Helliwell goes and nods to a few people over at the clubhouse bar. There's still probably the most tricky and technical part of the circuit left though. Through the hairpin, down through the gears. Nice and gentle now on the throttle, and that should be that. Nick Wainwright's going to take third place here, number 68. Good weekend for him on the podium. The checker flag is out. Chris Helliwell has done it. Number 64, the double win. And he dedicates it to his dad. Brilliant stuff there from Chris Helliwell. He takes the double win in the Golden Era Supersport on the Sparklight Racing Yamaha R6, finishing ahead of Joel Williams and Nick Wainwright. Mark Foster finished in 4th in the end. He did hold off Mike Horbury. Jamie Pearson managed to get past Carl Foster and Carl Smalley to take 6th. And there's the top 3 on the podium. Helliwell, Williams and Wainwright. In the steel frame, Brad Davey did take the win, so he'll get second in the championship ahead of Chris Spink and Luke Addison-Doy. Championship standings then, Foster, the champion in Golden Era Supersport, winning it ahead of Robert Goodall and Ryan Cooper, with Bloomfield 4th, Mark Foster 5th and Sam Nicholson in 6th. And in the steel frame, Chris Spink the champion, Brad Davey does take second, look at that, by 3 points, ahead of Jack Havercat with Neil Harvey 4th, Simkis 5th and John Dunn in 6th place.
Sparklight Racing Golden Era Steel Sport winner Brad. What a fantastic win. After earlier on you had a tyre virtually melt.
Yeah, I know, I couldn't believe it. It just gave way on me. Just looked like chewing gum when I come back. Maybe I should have bought a tyre a little bit earlier in the weekend and instead of trying to get through the whole weekend on one set of tyres. I'm a bit tight like that.
Have you got anybody to thank?
Yes, Sparklight Racing, they helped me out, Whole Beach Tyres, and everybody here at Thundersport for putting on a wonderful event. I mean, it's been absolutely brilliant. And all the other guys in the class. It's just a real good, friendly championship to be in, and we need more people here next year. So everybody out there, if you've got a bike, get on your arse and get out on the track, please.
Chris Spink, Golden Era Steel Sport champion. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. It's made the whole year worth the effort, really.
Yeah, it's been tough, hasn't it? It's been up and down, ebbed and flowed for you, I guess.
Yeah, I've had a couple of good races, a few bad, and then come back and had some really good races. But I've really enjoyed the whole season. Thanks to all my competitors, Thundersport, all the medics, marshals, officials. Everything's run really smooth. Really enjoyed the whole thing. Just like to thank family members for keep coming and supporting. Alison and Tony for their support outside of racing as well as coming to watch. And all the family, people that stop to look after the dog, the kids, when they can't come, so great.
There's Chris Helliwell then celebrating that victory. Join us again after the break for the final race of the season. For the last time in 2015, we roll up onto the grid in Thundersport GB. John Dieterman, the Golden Era Superbike champion, has decided against slicks this time after a bit more rain has fallen. Andy Windsor just on the right of your screen, number 30 then, race winner earlier. But some of the other candidates to look out for, 106 Joe Barton. As you saw there, Richie Harrison as well. A few gaps on the grid, a high rate of attrition in Golden Era Superbike here this weekend. And in the last couple of rounds, but away from the line we go. Again, not great start from Dieterman, but much better than it was earlier on for him, and now he can really fight for this win, the final race of 2015. Joe Barton, not a regular in this class. He's out there on what looks like Dominic Clegg's bike that he was using this year. Dominic normally sporting the number 4. Joe Barton, of course, the Thundersport 500 champion for this year, but going back to his 106 here for these races. So we go into the gooseneck, and it is Andy Windsor that has the lead from John Dieterman and Joe Barton. Bit of a gap back then too. Ryan Strafford, Andy Chalice, Richie Harrison. 37 there on the Ducati is Vince Carlton. And then you got Lee Hutchinson there on the big old grumbling Aprilia on the SRT South Cave Limited machine. Former regular podium man Lee Hutchinson in the Mini Twins and Super Twins in the first few seasons that Thundersport ran it. Vince Carlton there on that beautiful Ducati just going through. So dodgy conditions, but quite close racing so far as these guys tiptoe around Hall Bends for the first time. Be surprised if anyone's gone for slicks, although I suppose you could gamble if you were towards the rear end, but at the moment it looks like most people are on wet tyres. Certainly looked like the rear end of Lee Hutchinson's bike had a wet in it. So look at that then. Windsor and Dieterman already just breaking away a bit. There's Lee Hutchinson again, number 51, of course, brother of Alex Hutchinson, who won the GP2 championship with Thundersport GB. I would love to tell you the exact year of it, but it was a few now. Probably, at a guess, around 11, I would have said. 2011, 2012, something like that. Sorry, Alex, for forgetting that one. Alex still pops along to the odd round from time to time, and I'm pretty sure that if he was to jump on a bike, he could still direct it towards a podium. Now then, John Dieterman feinting a move there down into Mansfield. The thing is, with a move there, you have to be alongside a rider before you do it, because otherwise you're going to wipe each other out. Joe Barton has closed in on these two now. Just wonder whether Joe Barton's just getting used to that bike. Such a versatile rider. He'll jump on just about any bike you give him and ride it quickly. As we go into the bottom of the mountain, and Joe Barton is really getting on terms now with Andrew Windsor and John Dieterman, who have of course been in this series all year long. Bit more power available here to Joe Barton than he's used to on a Thundersport 500. There he is, usually of course riding under the HB Motorcycles banner, but out there on this bike on the STG Performance Suzuki. Rider from Wakefield, always brings a big crowd along with him. Friends, family, all a good bunch. So, you've just seen the top 8 going through the field there. This is now the moment where John Dieterman decides he wants to lead. A cheeky look over to Andrew Windsor as he goes past him on the backseat Yamaha. This is Ryan Strafford, struggling a little more in this race than we saw earlier, up ahead of Richie Harrison, then Andy Chalice. But Dieterman it is that still leads into Park Corner. Joe Barton now closing in onto the tail of Andrew Windsor. So, well, Dieterman's times at the moment, that last lap, are 42 flat, as we see Richie Harrison up underneath Ryan Strafford. Good move that from Richie Harrison. He gets better and better at every round, Richie. He's coming into this round 5th in the championship. He couldn't better that, and look at this. Joe Barton is up into 2nd now, the Thundersport 500 champion. Moves up ahead of the race winner from earlier on. So if we were going to see another double winner here, Andrew Windsor's going to have to do it from 3rd. The champion of 2015 leads, 18, John Dieterman, from Joe Barton and Andrew Windsor, both there on those GSXR 750s. If you're wondering where Richard Blunt is, not racing, sadly. The Portico Sport Kawasaki rider, number 13, not out there to try and fight for the championship. It would have been a bit of a tall order anyway. We came into this round, I think it was 66 points the difference between Dieterman and Blunt, but it would have been nice to see Richard out there for the final races of the season. Not sure if they just decided to do it and concentrate on Thundersport 500s, or whether they had problems with the bike. These Golden Era Supersport machines can sometimes be a little temperamental. Andrew Windsor there, though, is going to take third in the championship, that's for sure, from Ryan Strafford. This is Richie Harrison, who's got himself up ahead of Carlton. Now that's interesting. So Vince Carlton goes through, so does Chalice and Lee Hutchinson. So where's Ryan Strafford gone? Ryan Strafford, there he is in the background. So Ryan Strafford must have made a mistake somewhere, or maybe gone out for an off-track excursion. Strafford's now down in 8th place. Just to add insult to injury on what has been a tough year for the 2014 Street Fighter champion. This is number 18, John Dieterman, though, that leads. Joe Barton on that last lap, quickest man on the circuit, and you can see he's growing in confidence on that Suzuki. He's inching closer and closer to the champion. I wonder if Dieterman has any answer to this, because it's the final race of the season. None of them really got anything to lose. There's the top 3 in the championship's already decided. Joe Barton just trying to get himself a trophy here and prove to everyone just how good a rider he is. John Dieterman might just think there's a bit of pride at stake here on the champion. I want to try and get this one sorted out. But it's one thing when you're riding against riders like Andrew Windsor, Richard Blunt, Ryan Strafford, that you're used to exchanging positions with all year long, but he's not raced alongside Joe Barton so far this year. In fairness to Joe, he's pretty clean as a rider, but he's certainly got quite a bit of racecraft underneath his belt after this year spent in the Thundersport 500 Championship. There is Richie Harrison then. At the moment, Richie's in 4th, ahead of Vince Carlton here, number 37. Vince from Market Raisin, which is just down the road on the Moto 46 VCR Ducati. John Dieterman here from Preston, number 18, now coming under intense pressure from Joe Barton. I wonder if he knows he's there. Has he got a pit board, John Dieterman? He's not looked over his shoulder just yet, but the Jaws music is about to be switched on. Out of Mansfield we go, into the new chicane. Barton thinking about a move, and he does it. That was brave. Into the new chicane. There was only just a slight door that was opened there by John Dieterman, and Joe Barton gobbles him up. Nicely done there from the Thundersport 500 champion, and look at the gap he's already got as he goes over the top of the mountain. That's over a second lead. John Dieterman then looks like he might already have to wave the white flag when it comes to winning this race. Of course, they don't want to throw it down the road. That would just be silly. But Joe Barton, oh my goodness me! How on earth has he stayed on that? And he's out in the lead as well. I bet he thought he'd thrown that away, because I certainly did. The checkered flag is out, and his heart will still be in his mouth there, across the line. Goodness me! What a moment there for Joe Barton. He wins it by the skin of his teeth ahead of John Dieterman. Andrew Windsor finishes in 3rd. Richard Harrison 4th. Vince Carlton in 5th place. And 6th place for Andy Chalice. There's the top 3 then. You might well smile. Joe Barton wins it ahead of John Dieterman and Andrew Windsor. And in the points for this year, there you get confirmation. Dieterman the champion from Blunt. Andrew Windsor does get 3rd in the end, ahead of Ryan Strafford. Richie Harrison in a solid 5th for 2015. And Greg Lewis, 6th place. In the Street Fighter Extreme, Paul Cunfin the champion, and congratulations to him for winning the Military Services Championship as well. He gets it from Mick Riddle and Kev Howdle.
John, 2nd place in that one. Difficult conditions, obviously, but 2015 Golden Era Superbike champion. Yeah. You must be like over the moon, because it's been a tough year, isn't it?
It's been a great year though, hasn't it, really? Battles with Richard, Andy Windsor, Joe Barton in his final round. He's been immense, really. It's been good, you know. It's been good racing and fast racing as well. We had the crash at Anglesey, but other than that, everything pretty went all right. So I'm over the moon to win it. For my dad as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it's like smashing lap records, and you know, you've had some fantastic, monumental battles with Richard, and yeah, I'm really proud of you for doing it. It's been a fantastic job. You're, you know, great ambassador for this particular class. You must have some people to thank. I know you have.
I've got plenty of people to thank. Yeah, back seating. Without this, I couldn't have done it. Without them, I couldn't have done this. And my dad as well. Absolutely tireless efforts in garage, making it faster, little bits and tweaking here and there. And also Titwin of TW Suspension, he's come on board in the last half of the season, and the bike's just been getting better and better. Janet, my wife, as well, Reese, my son, Mark, my brother, my mum, as well, for putting food up and everything. Paul at Visor Vision, Fiddy Ports, John at Fiddy Ports in Manchester. So many people to thank, but I can't think of every one of them right now. And you guys as well for putting on a fantastic show at good circuits as well.
Well, Joe Barton, Thundersport 500 champion, and now you thought you'd try your arm at Golden Era Superbikes, and look what happens.
I know, I can't believe it. I really wasn't expecting this. Cleggie's lent me the bike for this weekend, and I can't thank him enough. He's been really generous to lend me that. But in that race, I had no idea I could be up at the front. I just thought I'll stick with him and see what I could do. I were actually fairly comfortable. I think my tyres might have held up a little bit better, and then John made a mistake on the last lap. So I didn't think I could pass him, but when he made that mistake, I just took my opportunity and went for it. So yeah, really pleased.
Is that by any chance a sneak preview into next year, or do you not know what you're doing?
I'd love it to be, but I really can't afford the budget. So no, it's probably not going to be. But it was great to ride it for this round. I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you to Cleggie. Big thank you to HB Motorcycles. Don's here this weekend and he's prepped all the bikes absolutely brilliant. And Continental Tyres, I've really got to thank them. They've helped me out this weekend a lot as well. With them, I couldn't have done it. I haven't got the budget to be running the 500 as well. So yeah, big thank you to everyone. And it's nice to end the season on a high. So big thank you to Thundersport, all the marshals and everybody that just makes it happen. So yeah. Also, sorry, I got to get it in there. Everybody that's come to support me. Got my mum and dad, Rose and Jed, my girlfriend Naomi, Phil and Michelle, and Linda and Steve. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you very much.
And just like that, 2015 is done and dusted. Thank you so much for joining us throughout this season. We'll see you at Brands Hatch when we start all over again in 2016.